Yo, back to basics, family. What's happening? Thank you guys so much. If you're a returning subscriber for coming back to hang with the boy, and if this is your first time watching the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please don't feel shy to hit that subscribe, but most importantly, hit that notifications bell because more fire content is on the way. So yeah, welcome to Back to Basics, where we emphasize the basics. So at different points of the video, I'm going to make reference to a few resources you guys will see as the video progresses. I'm going to make those links available down below in the description. So don't feel shy in clicking on those links, making it shake, learning and applying it to your life. Most importantly, apply it to your life. And just another point before I get into today's episode, each and every single episode builds on the previous one. So this one you're going to see is going to build on the previous one, and the next one is going to build on this one, and you're just going to go step by step. So that's just a bit of vision before we get into today's episode. So now that we've identified common money problems and we have changed our perspective regarding money, today we're going to get into budgeting. So before we get into budgeting, I'm just going to define what budgeting is for me, and then I'll have a normal formal budgeting definition from the internet. So yeah, for me, budgeting basically is looking back at your previous financial performance. So how you've been spending your money. So spending time with your bank statement. Looking back at that, identifying your weak points, and then planning for the future. So with goals in mind. So that's budgeting for me, basically. It happens, people budget at different times. Companies budget annually, we budget monthly. So it can happen weekly. There's really no limit when it comes to these things. But I know I budget weekly. Actually, now I budget in my head a lot, but I budget weekly where I sit down. I'm not weekly, sorry. I budget monthly where I sit down and I spend time with my finances. So yeah, that's what budgeting is. So there are 4 steps that I apply in my life to budget. And these are steps, please, before I get into them, these are not professional. This is not professional advice or professional tips. This is just basically what I apply and what I've seen work in my life. So the first step in budgeting is checking your bank statements habitually. So, I have a saying, show me your bank statement, I'll tell you who you are. Because, you spend your money where your heart is. Where your heart is where you spend your money. You know what I'm saying? So check your bank statements habitually. And why do you have to do this? Because this is where you find out who you are. This is where you find out your mistakes or your weak points. And when you spend time looking at your bank statement, you realize what you need to work on, what you should take out, what shouldn't really be there. Because when we spend money in the moment, we really don't think about what we're spending about. We just spend. But when we look back and sit down and say, nah, I really didn't need to spend that, So check your bank statements habitually, because that's where you hold yourself accountable and that's where you identify your weak points. And the more you check your bank statements, so monthly, at least once a month, the more you check it, the more you're going to hold yourself accountable, and the more you're going to know what you need to work on. And when you formulate a plan to work on that weakness, you can hold yourself accountable and improve over time. So check your bank statements habitually. I've said it a few times now, but it's so important. And also I've heard crazy stories of people who don't check their bank statements. I know this one lady, I saw this one time on Twitter. She canceled a gym membership, but she never really checked her statements. So she realized a year later that the gym still was taking money away from her, and they actually increased the membership plan. So she was paying more, but she didn't know why, because she didn't check her statements. So check your bank statements habitually. And with this, you can, if you have a bank or you have a bank account, you can go to your bank and ask them for a bank statement. Or because now that we're in the technological era and all of that, you can check it on your banking app, or via email, ask your bank to send it to you. So now that we've covered that step, I actually want to show you guys what a normal generic bank statement looks like and how to read one. So yeah, this is a standard bank statement. Most bank statements look like this. So the most important thing, so firstly, for the purposes of this bank statement, your name is John Jones. You live in Toronto, the 6th. And you bank with First Bank of Wiki. So the most important, and this period was from the 10th of September, or is it the 9th of October? I don't know how you guys read your dates, until the 11th of October or the 8th of November. but it's a month. So the most important thing in a bank statement are these two columns. So this is the left hand side, or withdrawals or money out, and this is the right hand side, deposits or money in. So naturally the withdrawals is always going to be more than the deposits, unless you have some secret weapon of making money that you want to share with us. So yeah, those are the most important things on your balance, obviously. So it's the difference between these two. And also, this is where you find out more about yourself, the description. So this is where you spend your money, and that's where you find out your mistakes. So if you know, this is where you see, so this person, John Jones, is always paying web bill payment, Amex, MasterCard. So he spends a lot of money online. So if you know that you spend too much money online, this is where you find out, and you can cut it and save that money and plan for something bigger, and always using money for purpose. So yeah, this is how is this a standard bank statement, and this is how you read one basically. So the second step in budgeting that you want to do is, now you have to separate your necessities from your luxuries. And that's all I can tell you at this point, because the rest is up to you. You know your luxuries. And luxuries, I want to define it as not just luxuries, but things of discretion. So things that you really do not need, because we like spoiling ourselves, but sometimes we spoil ourselves and we don't really deserve it. We just want to spoil ourselves the whole time, and now sometimes we have to work first. So you want to separate your necessities from your luxuries. And applying this to my life, I know for me, airtime is a big necessity because of what I do. So I spend a lot of money on airtime. So for someone else, it might be a lot of money, like, yo, bro, that's a lot. But for me, I need to, because it's related to purpose. It's related to what I'm building. So I need a lot of money on airtime. So I budget around that. So I have a monthly budget. I have a limit. I don't spend over that, so I try not to spend over that. If I have to, I will, because again, it's important. So it's a necessity for me, but for someone else, it might be a luxury in a way. So, and other necessities are obviously important, like food, clothes. And by clothes, I mean clothes that you need to wear, not buying clothes every month because that's where a lot of the youth are dying. But we're not dying, we're living, we're building. So yeah, you want to separate your necessities from your luxuries, and then you focus on your necessities. You cover your necessities, you focus on them, and then luxuries you spend on when you deserve it. So let's just say now you've done the whole budgeting thing, you've saved, and now it's time to spoil yourself. And you're gonna enjoy it a bit more now because you saved and you planned. And so, like, the equipment, for instance, for me was a luxury almost, even though it's also a necessity because it's, I needed to do this, but it was a luxury because I bought it and I was like, sure, it feels good, So yeah, you want to separate your necessities from your luxuries and focus on your necessities. Sacrifice on your luxuries for now, because what you're going to reap in the future is going to be so much greater if you just sacrifice and remain disciplined. So that's step number 2. And step number 3 is to consider your income in relation to your expenses, or compare what you earn in relation to what you spend. So the goal or the aim is not to spend more than what you earn. So if you, on average, now that you've checked your bank statement, on average you earn around, because we all earn differently, on average you earn around in a month, let's say 1,000 rand. You cannot spend more than 1,000 rand. So this is where sacrifice again and living within your means is so important. But also practically how I've seen it apply in my life is, now that I'm at home, I canceled my gym membership this year. I canceled it while it was Corona, but also now we're in level 1. I can go back, but I'm not going to go back because I'm at home. I'm not at university, so I'll exercise at home. So that's an example of sacrifice. I'll humble myself and exercise at home until next year again, when I eventually go back out into the open world. So that's an example of sacrifice, because now there's no real need for me to pay that gym membership fee the whole time. And another example of sacrifice, so that I don't spend more than what I earn, is now that I'm at home, I don't have to buy food at all. I don't have to, whether it's takeouts or groceries, because I'm at home. I'll eat whatever it is that my parents can provide for me, So that's also another example of sacrifices, and making sure that I do not spend more than what I earn. And there's this book that you guys can go check out. It's called Manage Your Money Like a Grown Up by Sam Bessinger. I hope I don't get in trouble. But yeah, it's really an amazing book. Really an amazing book. And to be honest, if you read it, you're not gonna need to come back and watch this. And that's okay, because the goal is to create better consumers. But in that book, Sam, the author, makes a really practical example of this, like the third stage. She says we always rush to be adults. So you're spending money like an adult, but you're not earning adult money. Do you understand? So you need to consider your income in relation to expenses. Humble yourself. And we're all at different stages in our lives. We all have, I mean, my situation is not the same as someone else's situation. But if I focus on myself and I know what I need to do, you'll increase over time. So yeah, that's step number 3. And I know I've been speaking about budgeting a lot, so I actually want to show you guys what a normal budget looks like. So yeah, we're just gonna head over into that part of the video. So this will be available down in the description below. I'll make the link available for the masses. So yeah, this is a monthly budget. I got this on Google Sheets. Very generic. I didn't make it, so I'll give Google their credit. I'll give them their cash, their street cred. So yeah, I got it on Google Sheets. Very generic, very standard. And personally, I don't use Excel to budget. I'm very old school. I write things down in a book, but you know, it's 21st century. A lot of people use digital stuff to do all their stuff. So yeah, but this is just a wonderful template that you can work off. So if you are old school like me and are going to do it in a book, that's okay. But this is just a wonderful template that you can use to start budgeting. So yeah, over here you can see we have the starting balance, and then which is 1,000 Rand. I think for now the amounts aren't really that important. So you have your starting balance, whatever you start with, and you have, this is optional, your increase in savings. You can ignore that for now. Really, the most important thing that I want to show you guys is the expenses and the income. So now that we've identified I think it was step 2, identified our necessities and separated our luxuries, you want to put your necessities at the top. So, and I also mentioned that all, like, our situations are different. So personally, groceries, I'll have groceries when I'm at varsity, but when I'm at home, I don't have groceries. When I'm at home, my transportation is not as much because I'm at home. And my transportation is taxi money, taxi boys worldwide. So it's not petrol yet. It's not petrol money. So for someone, it might be petrol money. I don't pay my own health or medical insurance. My mom does, so I won't have anything there. I don't pay rent because I live with my parents, so I won't have anything there. Gifts, if it's someone's birthday, you plan for that gift. And airtime, okay, airtime would be at the top for me, or second, because it's very important. Clothes as well. So this is where you put your necessities at the top and then your luxuries at the bottom, and then things like debt. We'll get into debt and all those things as time goes by with the channel. That's going to be the really juicy stuff and interesting stuff. So then the income is always less than the expenses ish. Yeah, but that's going to change. So yeah, so this is how you earn. So whether it's via savings, you're getting paid, or you have a bonus. So if you're working, interest on your investments, we're going to speak about interest as well as the channel goes by. That's really the interesting stuff. Allowance, that's me, fully allowance boys worldwide. And bursary, because we're students. I know most of the people who watch this are students and young adults. So yeah, this is a standard budget. So the most important thing is just getting down your expenditure and your income, and then here you can, this is in retrospect, so you plan to spend however much, but you actually spend however much, then that's the difference. Then you can work on the difference. Same thing with your income, it works like that as well. And then you can translate that into setting goals. So the most important thing with budgeting is setting goals. So once you've identified your weak points, you want to set goals, which I think now I'm going to switch back to my face and I'm going to explain step number 4, because I'm actually speaking about step number 4 for now. So yeah. Okay, now we at step number 4. You know, we've done all the hard stuff. We're at step number 4, and step number 4 is with the remaining cash. Because if you apply this, I'm sure of this, if you're honest with yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself, you need to cancel out all the influences. Just think about your life and what you want to achieve. If you're honest with yourself and you apply those 3 steps that I spoke about, there will be money left over, and it doesn't matter the amount. Please don't be discouraged if the extra amount you have is 2 rand. Start with that 2 rand. So that 2 rand, start saving, because it is all about principle. Because when you're faithful in the principle of saving with 2 rand, when you have 2 million, it's going to be slight work. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't save 2 rand, 2 million is gonna, yeah. So be honest with yourself. So the fourth step is saving whatever is left over. It's called the residual in the market, the jargon. It's called the residual, but whatever's left over, start saving that, set goals with that. Then with that, in the next videos that are going to come, we're going to talk about investing, the type of investor you are, inflation, debt, all these nice things. Because now that we've dealt with ourselves individually, we can go out into the economy and be active. Because that's the mistake I made. I didn't know how to manage my own money, and I went out and invested or traded or did all those things, and I got hurt. But thank God I got hurt, because now I'm able to sit here and tell you guys everything that I've learned. So yeah, the fourth step is save whatever's left over. And yeah, that's budgeting, guys. It's really nothing hectic. If anything, if you really want to live an empowered life, you'll budget, because you need to manage what you have. And please be honest with yourself. Do it alone. Separate yourself. Instagram away, all the influences away. Be honest with yourself, live within your means, then start building from there. Because personally, this is a personal story. I started with 50 rand. I remember I started investing with 50 rand in grade 11, and now that 50 rand has turned into something considerable. But that's not the point. The point is that I started with the 50 rand, and I had faith, and I didn't look over and say, yo, but that person has millions or thousands. I started with my 50 rand. So if you have, no matter the amount, please don't be discouraged. Start, and then again, I want to say, one video at a time. So yeah, that's back to basics for today, budgeting, and some encouragement right there. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging. Next video up, I don't know when, but it's for sure coming. And again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, notifications, share with your friends, and our way to the top.